I've shown you how to improve the Railroad, I've shown you how to improve the Brotherhood, and even shown you how to improve the Institute. Continuing on with this series, today I'm going to be showing all of you how you can improve the Minutemen in Fallout 4. If you want to see any of the other videos, I'll have them linked at the end of this one or in the description down below. I know a lot of you guys are going to be wondering in this video why I'm not using Minutemen overhaul or We Are the Minutemen. In order to save time, I'll kind of explain at the end, but you don't have to comment that. I already know they exist, but with that, we'll just jump into the first mod. So the first mod we do have is something I've covered a few times on the channel in the past, and that's going to be Useful Crank. If you're like me, you played through Fallout 4 multiple times, and time again, if you don't have to, you don't use the laser musket because it kind of sucks. Yes, there are always defenders of this weapon every time I mention that, but at least in my view, it's just not all that good. What Useful Crank is going to make using this thing a hell of a lot more lucrative. Useful Crank's going to make it so the laser musket no longer requires ammo. So now, even though yes, you still do have that immensely slow rate of fire because you have to crank the thing each time you do want to fire, at least now you'll be saving on the ammo side, and it's actually going to give it a bit more of a purpose, always something to just kind of keep in your inventory because you can always use it, especially on survival mode. It doesn't necessarily affect the Minutemen directly, but this is a weapon that is pretty much exclusively used by the Minutemen, and if you side with them, you'll probably end up using it also. I mean, you get handed one at level like 2 in the game. I personally really like this mod. I actually downloaded it originally almost 1 year ago today, and I think it's a great addition to the game. There's all this talk in Fallout 4 about how the Minutemen were once this very powerful force, really helping the Commonwealth, and they had a presence. When you actually explore the Commonwealth, you don't really see any of that. You see a bunch of abandoned settlements and destroyed structures, but none of the real remnants of those Minutemen. Well, Minutemen supply caches is going to change that somewhat. What it's going to do is actually place down a bunch of caches around the Commonwealth that the Minutemen would have once used. Little storage sites or rendezvous points for sleeping, storing materials. And now you can actually get them and get whatever rare objects are there. There's going to be a bunch of these across the map, and they're actually going to come in different shapes and sizes. Some of them are going to be higher tier and have more valuable loot, while other ones are a little bit more forgettable and don't even have loot that is that good. But one of the other reasons I really like this mod is the implementation. You actually can't just go to all these caches and take the loot. You're first going to have to get the key. The way you get the key is from completing the Old Guns quest, where you actually get access to the armory at Castle. In that quest, it really seems like there's going to be more caches, or the Minutemen has a lot more supplies than they actually do, and well, now this mod's making that a reality. You'll find Minutemen supplies all over the Commonwealth and even some within existing settlements, which is quite plausible lore-wise. So kind of similar to the last one, but also distinctively different, Minuteman Watchtowers are going to add in a ton of, well, Minuteman Watchtowers all around the Commonwealth. I particularly like this mod, and I think it's especially valuable if you're playing on survival mode. If you don't know, on survival mode, there is no fast traveling, and sleeping is something that you now have to do. Well, after a long day's travel, you actually can spot one of these watchtowers, and you'll know it's a fairly friendly territory. They are, of course, abandoned after the collapse of the Minutemen, but now you can re-enter it, actually get some of those valuable pieces of equipment, and of course many times there's going to be a bed within these. All in all, in addition to just kind of being a cool spot that you can hang out and look off of, I think the watchtowers in particular just look really cool along the Commonwealth. It adds a lot of definition and variety in the horizons because, well, now there's a watchtower with a big Minuteman flag on it, and it looks cool. I always found becoming general of the Minutemen to be quite disappointing. You didn't really get to command that large of an army, and although you did have signal flares, I feel like they honestly never work, at least when I'm using them. Well, Fallout Commander is going to change all of that. What this mod is going to allow you to do is, after you become general of the Minutemen and actually complete further quests, you will get access to little squads that you can order and have them follow around you. So technically this mod works for any of the various factions. Again, there's going to be little squads that you can get access to after completing certain quests, and as you complete further quests, you'll get access to higher level units, but I think it's particularly relevant for the Minutemen, and it fits in the best with this faction. It is fairly well balanced, so after you have a squad following you, they can die, and then there will be a cooldown where you can't just order in a new squad. Instead, you'll actually have to wait for those units to be replenished. And again, as I mentioned before, some of these stronger units do require you to get pretty far down the Minutemen questline. Even on this save, where I'm about level 50 to 60 in game, I don't have access to all of the Minutemen units. I personally found that using this made playing with the Minutemen a lot more enjoyable, made you feel more powerful in game, and it goes really well with another mod like War of the Commonwealth or NPC's Travel that increases spawn rates around the Commonwealth of enemies. But really overall, it seemed like it gave a lot more purpose to actually becoming the general of the Minutemen because now you get access to all these additional troops that you can order. And last but not least, we do have the Militarized Minutemen. This is a mod you probably heard of because it is massively popular and honestly one of the highest quality mods for Fallout 4 overall. What it's going to do is change the equipment that the Minutemen will now wear. In addition, now it's going to create further units of Minutemen that you will see spawning throughout the map. You can get a veteran, you can get an elite, you can get a ghost unit, and each of those individual characters will actually be now wearing this cool and unique armor that is introduced into the game. As an armor mod, this is quite expansive. You could use all this on your own character or your own companions and customize it quite extensively, whether that be through the different color customization options or even just what kind of ammo and guns appear on the different pieces of armor. This makes the Minutemen actually feel like a real military and force, and I'd say this mod coupled with FCOM makes the Minutemen a ton of fun to use. Now you could have little squads of commandos following you around and it feels pretty real. It feels like you really are commanding an army because one, you can command them, and two, they actually look like an army. If you only download one mod from this list, I would say Militarized Minutemen definitely deserves that download. Even though it only changes the way the faction looks, I think the changes are massive and definitely for the better. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video, but of course now the question I know many of you are wondering, why didn't I include We Are the Minutemen or the Minutemen Overhaul? If you guys don't know, those are two pretty popular Minutemen overhauls. They're very much so all-in-one packages. You're kind of just intended to download that mod and it'll overhaul the Minutemen quite extensively, even some adding in new features. And I've covered them on this channel in the past, back closer to when they were originally released and popular. Well, the reason I didn't cover them is actually a few reasons. First and foremost, both of them are broken. They haven't seen an update since 2016, the summer of 2016 specifically, so basically 2 years. And even though some people report using them with minimal bugs, other people talk about how all the Minutemen are missing guns or they all spawn naked, things like that. So until either of them gets an update to actually work on the newer versions of Fallout 4, because a lot of things were changed with the implementation of a lot of the new Creation Club releases, I would just advise against using them in general. You don't want to be halfway through a save only to realize the Minutemen are now broken. We Are the Minutemen in particular apparently makes it so Radiant quests stop working after you get the first one. And just as a side note, the mod author of We Are the Minutemen is very against porting his mod over to Xbox One and says nobody else is allowed to port it either, and he never will be. And although it's his mod, he can do whatever he wants with it, that's just not really the type of content I am going to proudly feature on this channel. Again, first and foremost, I don't feature it because of the bugs it does contain, but in addition, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way that he has that mentality. Either way, I'll have links to both of those other mods down below if you want to take the risk. As always, again, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.